3 is the future.
Welcome, crew, to What Are Your 3, a Channel 3 podcast where we take a member of the Channel 3 community, discuss 3 games of their choosing, go through some honorable mentions and some other odds and ends for a nice little video game discussion. I'm Dan. With me, as always, Hector.
Who in the world is Hector? See, you're going to confuse a lot of people starting.
I'm derailing this thing immediately.
We're already starting off here. Today's, it's actually that's a great transition point, Dan. You know what? You actually hit it on the head. Tonight's guest is Carl Waldron. You can find him at carlwaldron.com. He's the founder of Dadstiny. And maybe some people don't know Carl, but they might know Ziggy Z55 from way back in the day. So we got Carl.
Y'all know Ziggy?
Ziggy. I got Ziggy. I know Ziggy.
I'm normally the one who's digging into bad. Ray's the one who's like, why do I know? And then he found that. He's like, okay, now I'm good. I got this.
No, I was like, I have to know who Carl is because I know Destiny, and I looked through I had to go back to the old Discord. And I was like, there's Ziggy. There's Ziggy Z. I knew I had that name somewhere. Carl,
Ziggy,
how you doing?
I'm fantastic. Ziggy helped me run Destiny from jump. He was always there. Love that guy. But I'm feeling great. I'm excited to be here. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad you guys asked me to be on. I'm excited. I'm gonna chat, talk.
Let's chat games. We're gonna get back to Destiny, but we're gonna start off with Final Fantasy VII. And how could we not?
Oh, the majesty of such a fantastic, transitional, life-changing game for me. Final Fantasy VII is it. It's the top, it's the pinnacle.
Had you done role-playing games before? Was this just like, okay, this just appeared? Like, how did you find your way into this?
Final Fantasy VII was the very first RPG I ever played. I found it through, I had a subscription to some off-brand like video game magazine. I don't remember the name of it. And it had a cover story for Final Fantasy VII. I believe it was Cloud with the iconic picture with him with the sword on his back, and he's staring up at the Shinra building. And I said, what in the hell? And turned the book open, found the page, read about the game, and I was instantly hooked. But at that point, I had no idea what the gameplay was or anything. I just knew I needed to have that gigantic sword. So I had to tell a buddy of mine to buy the game for me. So I scratched together all my money. I handed this other child, like $60, and I sent him off in the world. Back when there was no cell phones and there was no way to keep track of people, I just handed all my money to some kid. Granted, he was a friend, and he went off into the world and then came back with a game. And I remember I got it on a Friday. I went home, and that was the day that I was allowed to play video games because you couldn't play during the week because you had to do your schoolwork. So I got it home. I popped it in, and it changed my life from the moment it started. Final Fantasy VII got me on this path of just like sitting in front of the TV and gaming for hours and hours. I mean, I didn't go to bed that night. It was just from whatever the hell time I got home. Let's call it 5 p.m. on the Friday. I didn't fall asleep until Saturday at 1 p.m. I was just there in it. I don't think I got there far either.
Hang on, I'm still hung up on the black market transaction that took place here. Did you know that they just sold this in every store, or did this kid convince you that I got the Final Fantasy VII hookup? Don't worry. Like, what happened here? Why did you have to go to the black market in your school for getting a copy of this game?
Hold on, you walked right into it. That's exactly what happened. He told me he can get me the game. This was the 90s. At the time, like, I didn't have access to video game stores. It was either you go through your parents or you didn't get it. And it was just one of those things where I was just like, I really want this game. I think I mentioned it in class. And a buddy of mine, he was a friend. His father was actually the gym coach. So there was some trust in there. I told him about the game. He said, "Oh, I wanted to get that game too. I'm going to get it." And I said, "Where do you get it from?" And he goes, "Oh, I have a store, basically, whatever, by his house. I got a place. I got a spot." And I said, "Oh, can you get it for me?" And he said, "Yeah, give me the money." And I said, "You got it." Like, you I don't think anyone, kids from that day, kids like indoor kids from the 90s understand. Like sometimes you just did stuff, like you just handed stuff over, and you just hope. You don't even hope for the best. I just had this, like, he's a friend. He won't screw me over. Thank God he didn't. But I legit went home. I got all my money together. I think it was like $60 something. I took it to school. I handed him the money. He said, okay. That day he went off. And for the rest of the week, he just didn't say anything. And I was just waiting. And I would ask him, like, hey, did you get the game yet? No, I didn't get to go yet. And I was like, did this guy rob me? Did I just hand over money for no reason? But then Friday, he comes in with no joke, a brown paper bag. He walked over to my desk.
The story gets better and better.
He walked over to my desk. He didn't say anything to me. He walked to my book bag, unzipped it a little bit, and just pushed his hand into the bag. I heard it fall, and then he walked away. And I was like, what the hell? So I turn around like a damn narc and just like rip my bag open, and I see the game, and I was like elated. So I don't think I've been that happy as a child. I was so excited. I didn't listen to a lesson. I couldn't tell you a thing about that day besides when I got the game and then when I opened it when I got home. I was so excited. I read the manual front to back before I played the game. I was just like edging to play the game. I was just like, what else does this book have to tell me before I experience this lovely game? Just I licking my finger for real. Just like, oh my God. And this was back in the day when they had full color, like informational books that came with games.
It was the peak of it. Yeah, it was the highest of highs for it. It was also amazing. Like it was a 3-disc game, so it came in that thick. It was the thick
I was like, what the hell is this? What was brick? What is this brick of game that I'm getting? And yeah, I read the cover to cover, hit the start button, and changed everything. That game was formative, storytelling, everything. It was just great.
Yeah, so it just dumps you into this world. You're there. You're going on a mission right off the bat. It's a great tutorial. So in case you didn't read the entire manual back to front, like it gives you a rundown of like, here's the good guys, here's the bad guys. We got corporate espionage in here. Here's how you fight. We'll give you some weaklings to go with, and you start leveling up. And like there's this fantastic prologue just digging you into this world, and also just like effects that were mind-blowing at the time too, of just stuff that was happening on the screen. Like what did you play before this game that like what was your video game baseline?
And you see, this is why I call it formative, because I can't tell you something that I played prior.
It's much like the day was a blur after that, of just like everything focused on the game. Every video game before that just wasn't Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, it was just like a series of games, right? Like my gaming prior to that was like I'd make a little bit of money, or through allowance or whatever, and then I'd go to the game store, and then whatever thing just kind of had a nice cover, I'd pick up and I'd play it, and it'd probably suck, and I'd keep playing it because I spent all my money. Because you didn't have any choice. Yeah, it was just what I had, and then I went about my day trying to make more money to get more games. But when I got Final Fantasy VII, it like really like structured how I fell in love with games. Like I fell in love with the storytelling. I fell in love with the character. I fell in love with just 3D games in general. Like it was this world you can walk around it. Like I'd never played anything like that. Everything else was just like, if it wasn't like a Mortal Kombat or some sort of 2D side scroller or a platformer, I really didn't have much, gaming culture at that point. But Final Fantasy VII really like opened it up. It was like, hey, you can actually like go into buildings and talk to people and get quests, and like there's more to it than just this linear story you're going on. Oh, if you go over here in this other town, there's a whole other mission for you to do that'll net you a secret character. Like I had never heard of secret characters before. You telling me I can unlock a vampire man? Let's go. We're going to that building. We're gonna unlock the vampire man. You telling me I can go get a girl with a giant what is it, a ninja star that's bigger than her?
I was really worried about where that was going for a second.
A giant heart.
Yeah, just
giant heart.
Yeah, okay.
Well, yes, we'll go get that girl too.
There was no internet back then, thank God.
Yeah, it would have
Remake's been a lot rougher on the internet.
Yeah, I actually bought the manual, like the giant
Brady guide. Oh yeah,
yeah. the Prima guide, and it was
Prima guide, yeah, Prima, whichever it was, yes.
Yeah, and it sat on my desk. Whenever I played, I would put the book out and I'd go to the page that I remember. I'd have sticky notes and whatnot, and I would just go through the motions of this stuff, and it was incredible. Loved every minute of it.
I mean, no video game you had before required a dead drop as if you were a government spy either. So
that's right.
Yeah, thank God either, because you weren't very good at it if you went and ripped the bag open in front of everybody.
I was a narc. I was such a narc. Oh my God. Thank God he gave it to me like the beginning of the day, because had I done that like in the middle of the day or something, like a teacher would have found out or something, it would have been
I say clearly you didn't go to Catholic school, because a nun would have beaten you back in my day.
I did go to Catholic school.
Yeah, okay, well, okay, you're lucky you didn't get nailed. You're lucky you didn't get crushed by it. I was telling somebody earlier, there was still a nun when I was in grade school who was smacking people with a ruler. That would have ended poorly if
they kept the nuns out of the classroom. The nuns were running. They were running the business downstairs, and we had just like everyday teachers. But my teacher she was a hard ass too, so she would have hit me with something probably.
Yep. Would have happened. Would have confiscated. Would have been. The dead drop was needed. It was important. Yeah,
it was one. It was. I've never been on a spy mission since, and I really relish that time.
So you get this. You know what's a big RPG world in here. You get flying airships. You get all sorts of characters. You get hairdos like none other going throughout the course of this game. Like what was it? Just the whole flow of everything? What sticks out to you? Why is it that this is the one that we say, like, pick 3 games? We always tell people pick 3 games. I'm always trying to figure out why does the first one come up? Like what brings the first game up? And obviously this was transformative for sure. Like, you know, how much time did you put in on this, or did you break the counter like all of us did?
I'll answer your first question. The reason is kind of a multitude of things. Like, it was the music captured me. It was definitely the characters, because it exposed me. I mean, I was a little kid growing up in Brooklyn, so I had never seen like Japanese games before. Like, I didn't have that access. So it really did open my eyes to.
They were withholding them from us. It was the 7th game, and they only gave us 3 of them, and 2 of them had the wrong numbers before that too. So, yeah,
and I didn't have the system. I didn't have the systems that played those other games, so I wasn't even like in the realm of Final Fantasy. But once they brought 7 over with like these crazy hairdos and these gigantic swords and like this just asinine story that you love, let's all be real. The story is ridiculous, but it's so captivating and ridiculous. And it was the bosses. It was the whole package came together in a way that I needed at the time. You know, they say like the thing you need shows up when you need it. That was one of those things. I was just like, this is going to, you know, change the way I think of it. And it did. Like after that, it was like, when is the next Final Fantasy coming out? Then when 8 came out, it was like, when is the next one coming? Like, I'm hooked. Keep feeding me these games. And it moved over to, you know, 8 and then 9 and then Xenogears and then you know, I can't even remember the rest of the RPGs that I've done. But
you were hooked. You were in. It was over.
Yeah, Final Fantasy really turned the dial, because prior to that it was like Genesis, you know, Sega, you playing Sonic.
Yeah, it was not a great there were a couple of good RPGs. There was like Fantasy Star. There were a couple of RPGs on Genesis. Genesis was not the RPG system. The SNES was the legendary RPG system. Like that. Yeah,
I had none of them. I didn't play Zelda prior. I didn't.
I Sports and Sonic. If you had Genesis, you had Sports and Sonic. Those were.
Yeah, I had games. NBA Live 95, and I had Sonic, and that's the only 2 I remember. I played with the Trailblazers, and I played the season with them, and then that's all I remember from Sega.
So I'm gonna have to ask. So you're going through this game. You're building up gear. You're leveling up characters. What was your main party before the thing happens?
Before the moment happened. I love that we still. I love that we still refer to it as we.
It hurts. It hurts.
We can't say what happens.
It's not for the sake of a spoiler. It's been 30 years. Okay, like your 28 year. Okay. It's not for the spoiler though. Again, remake folks, rebirth folks, enjoy your time. Don't listen right now. This is on you if you listen from here. But it's like we can't bring ourselves to say it still.
Yeah, it's not a spoiler. It's just trauma. Yeah. So let's see. What was my? I kept the main. I kept Cloud, Barrett, and Tifa for a good majority because Tifa had that lucky sevens limit break where if you were to hit it at a specific number of times, you can probably get a lucky 7 and she'll knock the crap out of people. And Cloud was always OP. You could never not be you can never not Cloud. And then I always use Barrett as the backline guy to take people out, like the flying enemies and stuff. So I kind of sat with them for a good portion. And then when I got Vincent, I would rotate Barrett out and use Vincent because he was a vampire, and you're not gonna not use the vampire guy.
I mean, the guy influenced fashion for a decade, sure.
Yeah, that his claw alone is just like iconic. And then once I got Sid became a permanent member of my party just because I loved how grouchy he was and how he did not fit in the whole ensemble. He was just like he was like Harrison Ford in every movie he's been in the past 10 years. He's just a crotchety old dude who probably doesn't belong here, but he's going to stay here. And he's also doing good work. So,
all right. All right. I gotta break something to you. Sid, the crotchety old dude. Okay. This is going to sting a little bit. How old do you think Sid was canonically in the game?
25.
He's 32. But he seemed like he played like he was 60, or he played like he was a 55-year-old. Like it's one of those things that just like, oh God, why? As someone pointed it out to me recently, like, oh, Sid's canonically 32, and I had the same memory because again, I was 14 or whatever when the game came out. I'm playing it, but like, oh God, no, that he was ancient. No, he was the like, I'm too old for this, nonsense and all this.
But he was like chomping cigars, and he was just always yelling at people to do their job, and he was a damn astronaut.
Covered in leather and nicotine for skin.
Yeah, he was going up into space, and he was the guy. Like he was just mad, but yeah, he was pretty. I mean, everyone was fairly young. I believe Cloud was like legit 21.
Yeah, you're the crotchety old man of that. I'm like, oh God, it's aged so poorly for me personally. Realizing ages on those characters, just like, oh God, it hurts.
Okay, it's funny because I played Kingdom Hearts first. Sid looks 30 in Kingdom Hearts. At least they probably gave him a more cartoony look. Yeah. But when you say Sid, I'm like, yeah, he could be 30 something. I get it because he's old, but everyone in that game is like 10 years old. So.
It's like 3 times our age at that point. It was, of course, he may as well be 75.
He's like the ancient guy.
I'm so done with all this already.
Yeah, he's like, why am I surrounded by children?
Yeah.
All the time. Like it's just little kids because when I was 35, if I was in a room full of 21-year-olds, I would feel like, why am I around all these children? Like I don't want to be here right now.
You morons know nothing.
Yeah, you have no idea what's happening, and you're all fighting for like the sanctity of the world. Like you're trying to fight this. Get serious, please. Please, everyone, like do your jobs. Like,
just remember, I told you we're going to extract some gifts. The get serious, do your jobs is probably going to end up as when I sit sitting here. You're waiting for approval.
Yeah, you got it.
He's literally like in Kingdom Hearts. He's literally working behind a desk.
He's like,
I'm just here to sell some stuff. Can you just like move on with your day already?
Yeah, leave me alone.
I'm working at 9 to 5.
Yeah, I'm trying to get bills paid. I can't keep working with these kids. Yeah, everyone's talking to a dog. Like there's giant planets flying in the sky. This guy has one wing, and
this dude was in a coffin 20 minutes ago.
Yeah. This guy, he's the most goth person I've ever met. Literally sleeps in a coffin. I can't do this anymore. I'm going to take my giant lance because that's such a Final Fantasy thing, and I'm going to go about my day.
Take my giant lance and go.
His lance was huge. I was like, why does an astronaut have a gigantic lance?
It's so long.
It doesn't make any sense for his occupation. You would think he'd have literally anything else.
It's a walking stick.
Seriously, he has a walking stick with like the sharpest edge ever. He was a very formidable astronaut / dragoneer.
So you didn't suffer like I did when Aerith gets got. That she wasn't leveled up. She didn't have all the good gear. Then she wasn't your main party. I was using her as my healer, And when she got gotten, I lost the materia, I lost the gear, I lost all the XP. That stung a little extra for me.
I felt like I did something wrong when she died, because post that, I mean, it happened in a cutscene, but post that, you keep getting gear for her. So I was like, did I screw up? Like, I found her another weapon that was stronger than her other weapon. And I was like, oh, I f***ed up. Like, I messed up. Like, she should not have died, obviously, because I keep finding all her stuff. So I guess I'll replay it and try to not have her die. And it just keeps like Groundhog Day. And I'm like, what am I screwing up? I don't know. I don't know how to not make this happen.
I spent so much time going through that Prima guide that you referenced that you had. Like, I can feel and I can see the way the top right corner was bent of that book as I tried to go through every freaking one of those like 250 pages. Like, how do I bring her back? Because like you said, I forgot about the gear too. That I'm like, there's got to be some way to bring her back. Why do they keep giving me the gear? Because I played Chrono Trigger before that. Your main character dies, you can bring him back to life. And so, later in the game, like, there's a way to revive him. And like, how do I revive her? Let's go. There's got to be a way. There's all this stuff about sacrifice. They can't just leave her dead, about all this sacrifice and meteor nonsense and all this. No, that's it. I spent so much time just flipping through that book of like, how do we get her back?
Yeah, and I remember I have this thing where I overanalyze things, and it started with gaming. And I had a little bit of it with Final Fantasy VII. I was like, well, wait, all these people die in the fights all the time, and we just Phoenix down them. Why don't we just Phoenix down her now? And I read someone said it's more like smelling salts than it is actual reviving people. And I've never been so upset at a logical explanation in my life. I was like, no. It's a Phoenix. It's a Phoenix, rise from the dead Phoenix. You can't tell me it's smelling salts. And then I was like, but it makes so much sense. And I was like, fine, whatever. I don't believe you, but
that's where the suspension of disbelief ends. Okay.
Yeah, I was just like, come on, man. I mean, you could have vaporized her or something. She got not as bad as I had her die in the game. Like, she got messed up in the game with me.
And this is where I call out the Smash Brothers reveal for Sephiroth and to say that's not right what you guys did there, teasing us with Mario. I don't know if you saw that when Sephiroth got revealed, but Mario on the end of the hanging by his what's it called, overalls,
by the overalls,
on the end of the sword. I'm like, oh, you guys did that, gave us that visual on purpose. That's not right. That's cool.
Some of the Smash Brothers reveals are better than most like animated movies, and that was one of some of my favorite. Some of my favorite stuff comes from Smash Brothers revealing a character. Like when he did Snake's reveal is pretty great for Smash Brothers. Sephiroth is up there, and also just the cinema of Kirby escaping death, like being an absolute G and like flying away from all the death that's there. I was like, so Kirby's the OG here. Kirby,
it's his favorite son.
Full character in the entire world, in the entire
amazing
universe is Kirby.
Yeah, and I was like, why Kirby? And I was like, who cares? That's awesome.
Oh no, it's easy. It's Sakurai's favorite son. It's his creation. Of course, he's gonna be the one to survive.
And he made him look like such a badass, getting away from. I was like, this is an amazing movie. This is a great movie. Like, I'll just watch this. I'm awful at the game, but I'll watch this cinema.
So you ignored one of my questions before, only because I asked it in a string of a few. How many did you max out the hours at 99 on the game clock?
Did I? I know it was in the 90s. I don't know if I maxed it out, because once I got my gold chocobo, I was happy.
You did. You got it. That's all I need to know. Now there's one final thing I have to call out before I kick it back to Ray.
Is this picture that you have in our notes here?
It is because
I don't understand what's going on with it. Obviously, I'm missing something.
So you shared the other day on Channel 3 the Jumbo Cactuar Magic card as Final Fantasy VII has been entering the realm of Magic the Gathering, and you're trying to ask if this one's OP, and I'm guessing you battled the Cactuar and know that no, this card's pretty accurate. Probably
It's accurate, but it feels like it shouldn't be in that Magic the Gathering. It does like 10,000 damage or some nonsense like that, and I was like,
yep.
Does any card have more than 10? Like, I don't play Magic. I collect them for like the art. So I want that card just because I'm like, this seems like it's not going to be able to stay around. It doesn't make any sense.
It's just there. It's got to just be there for show. It can't be a street legal card.
I mean, maybe not competitive, but if you have it in your deck, I would assume you could play. I mean, they sell it, like you can't not accept it if you made it. So I'm just wondering, like, what is the basis for this card? Like, if I play it at round 1, don't I win?
You have to have significant energy built up to be able to even use the card. It won't last by that point. It's okay. It's okay. I only laugh because I absolutely got wrecked by that thing. I'm like, oh, what's this little guy doing over here? Let's go see what's going on. Just murdered, dead. I
love Cactus. I love him and the Tonberry. The Tonberry is in the Magic the Gathering set as well.
With little overpowered card also.
Yeah, with his wacky knife and turtle body. But the Cactus, I remember I would run. I remember the first time I encountered him, and he did the 10,000 needle thing, and I was like, "That's bull." Like, come on.
If I as you say that, like, if I walked up to the Cactuar and the Tonberry on the street, like, if I walked up, I'd be like, "Oh, look at the little cactus! He's got like a little smiley face. He's got a little mustache. And look at, he's so cute." The other one I'd run away from. He's just like a little dude in a hood sitting here with like a carving knife in front of him. Like, no, I'm running from that thing. I'm not going up. Like, I could take that thing. Even if
with a lantern too. Why do you need the lantern, bro? What's the lantern? What's the lantern for? Give me the scoop, bro, because it's daytime. Where you going? What are you doing with that? What do you need it for? I didn't like that guy. Everyone used to say he was cute, and I was like, "No, man, where'd he get the hood? Where'd he get the hood and the knife and the stuff? Like, where'd he get it from?"
Why?
Yes, none of you make sense, my little man. I don't need that. And he would walk, like he would take one step. That's when I was done with that character. When you're constantly hitting him and nothing's doing anything to him, and on his turn he would just take a step towards you, and I'm like, that was one step. He took all that damage and only took one step, and he still run whatever button combination was to run out of the. No, I'm good. I don't think there's a way to beat that guy either.
My knowledge of Magic the Gathering at least ends with the fact that they forced Yu-Gi-Oh cards to change the name of their cards.
Really?
Yu-Gi-Oh cards, they were Magic cards. So Magic kind of said, you're not allowed to do this. And then they became spell cards. So the old Duel Monster cards say Magic card on them, and then at some point they switched over to become spell cards.
That makes sense.
That was it.
Copyright.
They probably waited, and then they were like, "Hold on a second, Yu-Gi-Oh is actually getting popular. We need to stop this now."
There was a big push right there, like in the late '90s, early 2000s, when Pokemon really shot up and their cards came out, and then Yu-Gi-Oh cards were coming out. And then I feel like Magic the Gathering was like, you sons of like you guys.
We were here the whole time.
Hey,
yeah, like come on, guys.
Hey,
like,
but you know what? Magic at the end of the day, like Magic is still here.
Yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh. I was in it with Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I was like, that was my time. And then they did weird things, and now it's like it's not fun anymore. It's
a buddy of mine used to play a lot. He was really, really good. Then he just stopped. He was like, it's too expensive to purchase all those cards all the time. True. And two, he was like, the meta is just
weird. It went they lost the plot.
Yeah.
With that one.
Yeah, I never understood Yu-Gi-Oh to begin with. Like I was never the kid. That wasn't my thing. So I didn't understand the whole battling system. But I would watch people play it, and I was like, I mean, at least you guys are having fun.
Also, the problem was that the TV show did not follow any rules.
Yeah,
they made up their own stuff. Each season, they just made things up. This never plays like this.
That was my whole thing too. I felt like Yu-Gi-Oh was just making stuff up as he went along.
Absolutely,
to beat people. He's like, oh, and here's my car keys, and that has 1 million whatever points, and that'll kill you. And my mom's on the field and now she's gonna, throw her slipper at you, and you're just like, Yu-Gi-Oh, come on, man.
Especially the first season, especially they were like Yu-Gi-Oh can do whatever he feels like, and you're going to accept it.
Yeah.
You're gonna accept it, and we'll make it up later. Like we'll say his magic power is he legitimately can just draw the card he needs.
Yeah, exactly.
That's his power. Yeah, he gets what he wants.
Yeah, he's a precog. He just shuffles the deck like a magician, and then he has them all marked and stuff. Yeah, I believe it.
All that to get to game number 2, after our discussion of Final Fantasy to Magic to Yu-Gi-Oh. Destiny 2.
Yeah, baby.
Destiny 2.
Titan main, baby.
Titan main shirt on again. We got here the man himself with Destiny. Parents and guardians.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to find time when kids are involved, but the group is there. They understand to jump ships, share strategies, join the fire teams, meet new guardians.
That's
so
right, baby.
Let's talk about Destiny 2. But so I'm reading about it because I didn't play Destiny 2, but I'm reading through, and it feels like Destiny, then Destiny 2, but it's talked about as kind of one big story, right? Is that how they kind of talk about the game? More, it's just kind of an improvement gameplay wise when we got to Destiny 2.
Yeah, it was it's a big 10-year journey that I think it just finished last year.
Yep.
The whole main story. But yeah, D1 was Bungie's sort of coming out party from Halo. They got got out of Microsoft. They're like, we're gonna make this whole new thing with a first person MMO. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be in space, and it was fine. It was good. It had some hiccups and such, but the reason I liked Destiny 1 and going into Destiny 2 because it was a way for me to play games with my buddies. Like they had raids, they had activities that you can play perpetually, and it gave us something to chase. That was one of the best things about Destiny. You always chasing loot, you're chasing armor, you're chasing the wins in the Crucible, or you're chasing a raid completion or something. There's always something for you to do. And me and my buddies played D1 a lot, and as a person who really enjoys playing with friends, it was rare moments because we were all really busy when we were playing. And then when Destiny 2 came about, we all just kind of scattered to the wind. They stopped playing, but I kept interest in the game. I like the story. I'm a big storytelling fan, and I love the space odyssey of the whole thing. It's basically just knights in space, basically. And the story that they were telling was very compelling. And I was like, you know what? I've already invested X amount of years in D1. Let me try D2. And it hooked me again. And it was one of those things I think a lot of people in the community would agree that up until last year when they completed the story, you were along for the ride because you had invested so much time and energy and thought and feeling in these characters from D1 coming into D2. You're like, well, I got to see the end of this story. I will at least play until the end of this story. And I did. Like I invested a lot of time, energy, created Destiny to, galvanize the parent community around, people who love the game, and, give them an outlet to find other people who understand their situation to say, I really want to play this game. I really want to, invest the time, but I have kids or I have a job or, and I think us as gamers know when you're playing online with folks, they're not super okay with you dumping out because your kid's crying or something. So having that, support system for Destiny really helped. I can't tell you how many times I've played a raid with folks from Destiny and just like, can you guys give me 20 minutes? My baby.
Cover me.
Yeah. And then everyone will just stop and just talk and have fun. And then you come back and it's a really good feeling to have that support for not only from a community, but from, a game. You want to play this game, you want to play it with people. So, yeah, it is. To answer your question, yes, it's a continuation from D1. And they improved the gameplay, they improved the loot system, and then they fumbled it, and then they improved that, and then they fumbled the improvement. And then Bungie keeps kind of just tweaking stuff in the wrong direction and then kind of rolling it back and saying, okay, we're sorry, we're my bad. And then they give you something new and you're like, this sucks. And they're like, all right, we'll tweak it, whatever. And then, so it's this weird push and pull with the developer who's going through their own nonsense. But they built like a foundation of a game that can last upwards of 10 years. That's a pretty crazy feat. If you're not World of Warcraft, it doesn't happen all that often, especially on consoles.
Mm-hmm.
So I commend them for at least getting 11 years out of one game. It's pretty big.
So I want to get into all that stuff about the ending of the story and everything, but to talk about Destiny, were you surprised at kind of how it took off? Because you guys started kind of through the dad gaming, right? And then it kind of took a life of its own. And were you surprised at how quickly or how the popularity or the need for it at the time that it was made?
I don't know if I was surprised, but I was happy. I love doing things that, enrich people and help people and whatnot. And the fact that so many folks jumped on and found other players that they can play with and found their like fire team that they went off and, played other games with and met up in real life. I've heard stories of folks from Destiny meeting up and just being like friends, like legit friends. And that as an adult, finding friends is not super easy. If you don't find them at work, you're not poking people in the street or going to a park to play with people to say what's up. So finding those friends and those lasting relationships was fulfilling for me. Other than that, no, I wasn't super surprised. We did start with the dad gaming. I asked Joel if he minded if I just start a group in affiliation with the dad and promote it on the dad, and I did so. But then I didn't really lean on the dad all that much to get folks to join. A lot of folks jumped over from the dad, and we got some from other places, and then just word of mouth kind of snowballed. And then at some point, I looked online, and I was like, after the whole thing happened, I was like, we're not really affiliated with them, haven't been for years. So I just called it Destiny. It was just done. The affiliation ended, and we just ran away.
No, I mean, it's amazing. This whole group came together, especially the time. I think that time really ramped up. In 2020 with just the COVID, everybody's home and online gaming, and Destiny is one of a couple games where you could hang out online because you're doing these long sessions and you're looting, and it just it's there. It's a easy way to group up and communicate and kind of hang out with people.
Yeah,
right. It's one of those games that was kind of built for it.
You jump up in the tower and you hang out with your friends and you just run around the universe shooting aliens and you forget your troubles. Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. We started in 2019, end October of 2019. So right before all the crap hit the fan, and right when we got into like mid 2020, we had over 1,000 members, and everyone was just like, "Let's just game, let's just play." And we had a good support system. Folks just like, hey, I'm bored. I'm by myself. Anyone want to play? And people would just hop on and help each other out. Yeah, it was good. It was good to see. And we retained a lot of those folks. So I'm proud about that.
So we talked about the final shape. That was the last release last year, 2024. Did you, and it completes the Light and Darkness saga. Did you finish it? Did you you did the final raid and finish the story? Were you happy with the way the story kind of completed?
I finished the game. I didn't do the raid.
Okay.
But I was satisfied, let's say, because the year prior they had the Lightfall expansion and it was not great. So a lot of the community sentiment just kind of tanked a bit because they were like, what do you do? Like, this feels like it's not connected and the storytelling's not great and the way you're presenting it. But so by the time everyone got to the final shape, we were all just kind of like, all right, you got to close this up and it has to be good. And to be fair, they did a really good job of kind of tying up a lot of loose ends. And I'm a big sucker for, really cool endings, and they had one. And yeah, I came out the other end of final shape saying, okay, if this is it, if they don't do any more Destiny post this thing, I'm okay. And they kept going. you know, very varying degrees of quality. It's okay now.
What's a typical play session length? Like you're gonna go on, you're gonna play Destiny. What does play Destiny mean? How long are you playing for it to be meaningful?
All right. So if I'm playing with people from Destiny, which we still do, it's a couple hours. But because it usually happens around this time, so everyone's just kind of coming off work and they're tired and whatnot. And by the time you hit maybe midnight or something, everyone's just kind of like, oh God, I can't do this anymore. So it's maybe 2-3 hours. If I'm playing by myself, which I also do, I'll just hop on. It'll be 25 minutes, maybe. And that's never long enough to do anything meaningful in the game. But the moment I boot it up is when my kids attack me. They're like, oh, Dad, what are you playing? Let me play. My 3-year-old's like, my turn. And I'm like, you don't know how to do anything in this game. And he's like, I'm going to play. And he's just staring up in the sky and spinning in a circle. And then I just turn it off and then, go be a parent for a while. So typical solo session, 25 minutes. If I get with the folks in Destiny, maybe 3 hours.
Are you looking forward? Because like you said, they're doing updates. They talked about that, Bungie, we're switching again to how we're doing our content, and now we'll have 2 updates in the year instead of one big one. And this year's Apollo and Behemoth. Is it something you're excited for, or does it feel like, hey, I was part of that first story, we finished the first story, and this is going to be hopefully the next story for the next group of people that are really excited?
I'm optimistic. I wouldn't call it excited. And the only reason I say that is kind of to your point where, yeah, I was there for the whole 10-year saga that you put forth. I'm interested to see what you have in mind for the next storytelling thing, because the first one was good, for what it was really good. But to kind of switch it up on folks, they being Bungie hasn't really done anything that makes me think they're going to switch it up a whole bunch. So I'm just like, I'm optimistic you can do something, and I'm waiting to see what it is. But you haven't proven that you can do it yet. So what could you possibly do with this exact same engine that's been running for 10, 11 years that's going to drastically change the experience? I think they understand that too, and I wouldn't put it past them that something interesting is coming. But I don't know, the ball's not really in their court when it comes to switching stuff up right now. So who knows? I mean, they'll have to just revamp the entire thing, because right now it's 800 and something gigs on my hard drive of just old game. Like, how do you make that into a new game? That's my question.
Do we get Destiny 3? Does anybody want Destiny 3?
I think everybody wants Destiny 3. They've said that they canceled it. They
canceled a spin. The official word, because I went and looked at all this here. They said the official word is that they were working on a spin-off, and they canceled the spin-off, and they said there's never been talks of Destiny 3. I think that's just their fancy way of saying it, but that's what they're putting out there.
That's a flipping lie. No one's ever talked about Destiny 3 in 10 years. Not one person in the company has been like, what are we going to do with the next one? They were like, shut up.
They said, no, there's no active development of a third Destiny. This was a spin-off game. It would have been its own kind of thing. There's nothing for it. And we're making a new game called Marathon instead.
Yeah.
It's going to come out eventually.
Exactly. Maybe. So, I mean, it has to come out because Sony bought them for that whole promise. So
they've got plenty of merch you could buy for Marathon, though. There's Marathon merch they've got on their website.
Hell yeah! You want a shirt for a game that don't exist yet? We got it. You want a hat?
There are play tests for 2025 being planned.
Yeah, I mean,
as of 2 weeks ago, that's what they said.
That's fantastic. I hope whoever play tests it lets me know what that game is, because all I've seen is the logo and the movie. no gameplay, nothing. I don't think they're making vaporware, but what I think happened is they were going to end D2 and they were going to bank all their money on Marathon being the next big thing. They were going to move on to that, let that run for a couple of years, and then maybe go to D3. That is what I think was happening. And then, like, Bungie took a crap or whatever the hell happened internally. All that turmoil happened. Sony bought them, and then Sony was like, "No, stop it. Like you have to. You only have one game that makes you money. You can't just stop making that game and put your hopes on a game that has like no sort of benchmark for whether it's going to make money or not. You have to think about long term." So they were like, "Fine, we'll keep making Destiny 2." And they just keep like pasting, they're putting tracks in front of the train while it's going. They're like, "Is going to do another thing." And then, "Yeah, we got 2 more things you guys are going to want to do." And then everyone's just like, "This is the same thing we've been playing for the past like 6 years. Like, what's new?" And they're like, "Yeah, the new stuff's coming." They're like,
It's on its way.
"Yeah, I don't know what's new. We're going to give you a dog. You can run with the dog or something." It's just like, what? I don't want that.
But does the game play well? Let me say, when you still turn it on, do you feel happy playing it? Is it like it's still a good time, or are you just like, is this Rocket League? Nobody hates themselves like Rocket League hates themselves and just says that we're tired of the same thing.
Really?
I say that. I also say it about Smash Brothers. Like nobody hates themselves like Smash Brothers hates themselves. So are we going in and being happy when we're playing, or it's just like I have to play like this? This is what I do. This is what I'm good at. I got to keep turning this game on.
All right. I never said I was good at it. Let's get that notion right out the door. I am awful. I am terrible at the game. I don't play games because I'm good at them. Destiny 2 has like the greatest gunplay in the game. It's just fantastic. It's incredible. Like I said, I'm a sucker for storytelling and lore and all that good stuff. So I was invested in the story. And the story is told through the loot that you get and the armor and the weapons. They all have their own story. They have their own history, which is very interesting to have like a weapon in the game that you can read about the people who used it prior and how it was made and why it's important and why does this gun shoot bullets that poison people, and why does this set of arms for your Titan give you a barricade that you can shoot through, and you can find out why. And that's a very powerful thing in storytelling where tangible reasons for things happening. And you don't get that in a lot of games. I think the other one that's like Dark Souls and Elden Ring, where they tell stories through legit every item that you pick up is part of the story. You don't get that in every game, So one like an MMO RPG that you play in space, like, and then you pick up these items and you're like, holy crap, like there's like a person tied to this, and there's a history behind this. Oh my god, this really cool person that I read about in a whole other thing used this gun to defeat this other monster. That's awesome. Let me friggin' use this gun. And then you're terrible with it, and it doesn't matter. But all that enriches the play that I have with the game, where I pick it up and I'm like, yeah, let me play and I'll do this build, and the gameplay is still incredible. And then you add on those aspects and you're like, this is just a fun time. I never feel like I have to play. When I play it, I want to play it. Now that want goes away really fast, but not because it's bad, but just because like, you're tired. Like by the end of the day, I'm just like, I can't invest. My hands can't do this anymore like they used to. Like my mind can't focus. But let me get 20 minutes and I'll do something.
On to your third game, Metal Gear Solid. So we're coming from a time that the fugue state of Final Fantasy VII has worn off, I assume. And there's the before Final Fantasy VII life and then after Final Fantasy VII. And here we are.
Metal Gear Solid was another one of those transformative games that had another ridiculous story and incredible gameplay and amazing music and just things that I had never seen in a game before, from what I was almost called the aspect ratio, from the perspective that you have on top of Snake, to the way enemies reacted to you, to the actual bosses that you fought. Like, I don't know if anybody remembers clearly how ridiculous those bosses were, but they were just gigantic cartoon characters. Like the Raven dude with the gigantic gun, and then there was the cyborg ninja who had one of the creepiest entrances in a video game ever, walking through that bloody hallway, and he just appears. Like, I was like, I'm not fighting that guy. That's crazy. And then fighting the Metal Gear at the end, like the whole game is just a series of incredible moments that Hideo Kojima put together to just form this masterpiece. It's a masterpiece. It's great. And to think that it came from like Metal Gear, that Nintendo game that's, I don't know, not really good, to this series that just completely took off and again changed the way a lot of games were played. I don't know how much folks remember, but that year that Metal Gear came out was a big stealth year. That was when Tenchu came out as well, and they were kind of competing for that whole stealth thing. And then Siphon Filter also showed up, so it was another sort of spy espionage game with less stealth and more weird running.
And a great taser.
An amazing taser. You can set people on fire with that. When I was asked the games, Siphon Filter was in this space before Metal Gear, but I was like, Metal Gear was a way more influential game. Siphon Filter was just funny. It was hilarious. But Metal Gear was like, it ushered in this whole new era of like stealth gaming and action espionage games. And I would bet if you asked any developer now who started making games recently, if Metal Gear influenced their, wanting to make games or how they made games, they'd be like, oh, yeah, of course. It's incredible.
Kojima, the first Rockstar developer? Is that not Rockstar like we're talking about later, but like a developer who is a rock star, basically?
Yeah, he was very much in the public eye once that game came out, and then it was one of the few names you would know of a person who was developing a game. Like, he was a singular name when you're like, it's Konami is on the friggin' title thing, but you knew it was Hideo Kojima. It's just like,
it had Metal Gear Solid had movie credits. Like, it opened up with like a Hideo Kojima game. You're like, yeah. Oh, okay, this is gonna be like, and you talk about like you said aspect ratio. No, that's right, because it put black bars at the top and bottom of the screen. Like, no, we're watching cinema. This is not. You are not just here to play a video game. You're not on the NES anymore. I am here to give you an experience.
Exactly, and he built it in a way that was like, you had to look at the back of your case to figure out Meryl's code to call her to progress the game. You're like, I have to get out of the cell, call Meryl. Where's Meryl's it's on the back of your thing. So you are now part of the game because you have to go into the real world and physically turn the case over. And they're telling you to do that. And you're like, well, what the hell is it? And then here comes Psycho Mantis, and he's like, I can read everything you're doing. I'm gonna change the port on my controller, and then then I can fight him. And then he's reading my memory.
You like games about vampires. Like, yeah, I played Castlevania. What's your problem?
Yeah, get out of my memory card, bruh. Like, start reading my stuff. It's like reading your diary. The game was just, it was doing so many interesting things. Like, he was, I tend to think in terms of like meetings, right? Because I'm in so many all the time. What was the meeting like when he said, is there a way for us to read the memory card and tell them that we've read it? And they were like, I guess. I mean, it's all one system. He's like, let's figure that out. Which also begs the question, what other things did he ask that it could do that couldn't be made into the game? Like, what did he ask? Like, can we disable all the controllers for a while? Or can we make so that, only one thumbstick works? Or can we, I don't know. He probably asked some really strange questions, and then
can we have Conan O'Brien make you make a delivery while a baby strapped to your chest?
Yeah,
no, that was
exactly.
That was too far ahead of time. You had to wait another like 20 years for that one.
Yeah, they're like, that's an insane question, and we don't want to entertain it. He was like, okay. And he put it in his notebook. He's like, Conan O'Brien, baby on chest, revisit later.
So you could have You couldn't do that today. You couldn't be like, "Hey, is there a way we can read someone's PC while we're playing the game?" Like,
They'd be like, "No, that's
no, you can't
Hey,
do that."
tell that to some of the software that's being installed on my computer while trying to play. Hey, careful, Ray.
They're just not announcing it. They're just
yeah, it's not coming up in a meeting. They're just doing it.
My computer's telling me otherwise when I try to install some of these games. So you might not want to use this one.
I know.
All I'm saying is that he made the effort to do something that other games weren't doing at the time. And honestly, I don't remember a whole lot of them doing it afterwards. It's just he thought in really weird vectors. It's like you have the video game, and then you have the real world, and then you have the console that you're playing on, and we're going to have all three of them be a part of the story that I'm telling. And it's going to be seamless. It's going to make sense in this wacky Power Ranger-y world that we have you walking around in. And it's both like mystical, but also technology. Because there's no reason that guy should be flying. And there's no reason Snake should be okay with that. Like, it just should not. He shouldn't. Why are you okay with this? Why is there an invisible ninja with a cybernetic sword that connects to his side, like it connects to his body, and he's fine with it? He's okay with it. It's all just
why
weird.
Why in the second
nonsense.
game is there an actual vampire I'm fighting in this grounded stealth game? Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. But in the world that he's building in this franchise, you're so wrapped up in everything that in the story that he's telling you. Go, sure, fine, whatever. There's a bipedal tank, which makes no sense. None whatsoever. I'll fight it. I'll shoot it. I don't care. There's just a world of ninjas and psychics and
clones,
behemoths, cyborgs, just unbelievable nonsense. And you just accept all of it because the game in between those scenes is so well put together. You're just like, yeah, man, I'll keep playing. I want to see what the next ridiculous thing I have to fight is.
I just want to see if this guy doing Snake's voice can write one of the best X-Men movies. Let's go. Sorry.
Which X-Men movie did he write?
He wrote the second one.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, the best one. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I got you.
Sorry, I had to get movie corner and upset Ray.
Okay. I was just making sure.
Sorry, that thing just always haunts my dreams. It's like, why? He did that too? God, good God. He's got an iconic voice. And I'll rate the second X-Men movie for you guys. No problem. I got this.
The second X-Men movie definitely is the best one. In my personal,
I'm not arguing it.
Yeah.
Did you continue with this? Same thing. So, I mean, I assume this one had to get delivered by an early prototype drone to your house that you had to send up some kind of smoke signal in order to make it happen. Or you perfected dead drops by this point?
No, I walked
You made me think about, like, no, I couldn't walk to a game store back. I didn't have a car. I had to wait until, like, my parents went to Clover was the department store that was closest to our house. And I had to wait until they went there, and I'd hitch a ride basically with my parents. Like, I'm going to buy a video game today. Let's go. And wander over the corner. But yeah.
I walked my behind to the store and bought Metal Gear myself. Like, I did that. For some reason, I felt like Final Fantasy just wouldn't be available anywhere near me. So when my buddy said he'd get it, I was like, just go get it. But Metal Gear, I was like, I'm going to go take a walk. I'm going
to buy this game and learn about diazepam. Let's go.
Exactly. Like, oh, yeah, I didn't know you can get the shakes and there's the drug that can stop that from happening. What's the DARPA chief? Exactly. Like, I'm learning about friggin' DARPA chiefs.
Wow, this is a lot about nuclear policy. I did not see this coming.
Yeah. It's like what is it? The episode 1, the Star Wars movies, where it was just about trade routes and stuff. You just
don't get Ray started. He's going to be all defensive and tell us how wonderful they are. Keep moving.
I just like when the light up swords fight.
Right? Yeah, that's why you show up. But then I didn't know that I had to also talk about trade routes. I didn't know that was a thing that I needed as a kid. But
listen, we have pod racing now because of it.
That's true.
All right. So you
also the pod racing scene was an incredible scene.
Played that at Chuck E. Cheese all the time.
That was a great game, the pod racing game. But yes, I did. To get back to your question, I did play all of them. It set me on the path the same way Final Fantasy did, down the RPG route. Metal Gear set me down the action stealth espionage game route where it was just him doing
Kojima's just weird drugged. I don't know. I don't know what his deal. Like his brain just operates on a different plane than the rest of us. But some of the stuff that happens through these games of just like what's real, what's not, what's in the game, what's out of the game, what's the creator interacting with the game. Like they get weird by the time you get into 4 and the 5s. It gets real weird.
4 is definitely the weirdest for the way it starts, when it's basically just a series of commercials for like TV shows that don't exist and products that don't exist. And I was watching it thinking, like, at that point, I'm like, we're 3 games in, I get it, Kojima, but you're taking too long. Like, I need to get to the actual, like, I don't want to watch David
No one's
Hayter.
stopping him. Yeah.
At that point, they were just like, do whatever you want, man. And I was just like, no, man, we need to get, let's move it. Come on. I don't got all day. But I did play all of them. I'm still playing Phantom Pain. I haven't finished it. But I've had a really, really good time with all of them. And I'm actually really looking forward to the remake of 3, though I don't think they've changed anything in it. I want to see if I can still cheat and beat the end, that sniper guy, by changing the clock on my thing. I never fought that guy. Not once.
I that is one I'm looking forward to playing, because that was during my video game Dark Ages. So I did not get to play that one in the first go around. So I'm looking for all they've done. I understand they've just done some re-recordings and they've updated some voices, but like everything else can be just, they're doing the game over again. That's all.
I'll play, and I'll probably play it up to that one boss, and then I'll just stop. that game took me forever. Metal Gear 3, but also has one of the greatest theme songs of all time, Snake Eater. If you haven't heard it, folks, go listen to it. It's on Spotify or whatever. It's incredible. It's just it's James Bond meets Metal Gear, so you know it's wacky. And it's great, and the lady singing it is incredible, and the theme is it's on my playlist of like just sitting down listening to music. It'll just pop up and I'm like doom 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 doom. Yeah, I'll just sing it. It's great. What a thrill.
All right, well, let's move to your honorable mentions. We've got a few extra games here. The first game up here is I'll go ahead and I'll just call it Red Dead Boarding School, or Grand Theft Academy, GTA, I don't know, whatever. But Bully, the other of the 3 big Rockstar. We're gonna go ahead. We're gonna give you crime. We're gonna give you vehicles. We're gonna give you weaponry. But this one's in a boarding school.
Yeah,
2006's Bully.
Yeah, it was great. It was fun. It was lightweight Grand Theft Auto. They gave you a very small area to play in, and because of that, they kind of blew out the things you could do in it. And I always say that Rockstar puts out games as a way to test out features to the next Grand Theft Auto. So if you look at a lot of their games in between Grand Theft Autos, they take parts of it and put it in the next one. Bully was one where I think they were testing, if I remember correctly, the lock-on combat. It was way better than actual Grand Theft Auto, and then that made it into, I think it was Vice City that came after. And it was just a really fun story of you being the bully and then getting bullied by everybody. And you just, what other game can you just go just absolutely wreck a teacher in the face for nothing? You just go smack them right in the mouth and win. Like, you can beat those teachers up. And I mean, you get jumped after, but yeah, it was just a really fun experience. And it was a way to play Grand Theft Auto without shooting everybody, which I thought was really funny.
This is perpetually on the remake rumor sequel list that's out there.
It's never going to happen, guys.
It's never going to happen.
Let it go. Let it go, everybody. It's not happening. They don't care about Bully. It was what it was. Again, it was a test bed for other Grand Theft Auto things. Just be happy that you're getting Grand Theft Auto 6, and just know that a little bit of Bully made it into that game, and just let that dream die. It's never coming back. It's over. It's done.
Go take that slingshot to your heart.
Yeah, just let it go, guys.
Until Grand Theft Auto 6 actually releases, I'm I don't even believe it's a real game. It's all they put together some scenes to pretend there's a game. Until it comes out, I don't believe them.
Nah, listen, you're gonna Red Dead Redemption ride a horse through Vice City, Miami, and it's gonna be wonderful.
You watch and see. You're gonna.
You got me thinking about that now. Like, what from Red Dead Redemption 2 is gonna be in here now? Yeah, all right. Let's get the horses. And we've not had horse travel in this, have we?
I bet it'll do the kind of over music where you're kind of traveling from one place to another, where they have a very specific song come on to like frame the scene. You're just like, yeah, I'm gonna drive that. I think Grand Theft Auto 5 may have done that, but that was the big thing in Red Dead that I remember. I was like, this is just a really good thing that happens in this game where you get to tell your story through the music as you're riding the horse. And I'm like, man, this is such a great experience.
I just need to figure out where the military base is in GTA 6 that I can go steal a fighter jet again. That's the way you got to make it happen.
That is all GTA 5 is known for. It's like, let's just steal the most ridiculous thing we can and take it to the place in what is it,
whatever, not LA. I just call it not LA. I gotta go in. I gotta get more target images. I gotta pull that back up again.
Wherever CJ lived, just bring all the ridiculous stuff from that game.
Not Compton, yeah.
Exactly. Not where Eazy-E lives. Where not Eazy-E lives.
Yeah, it's like, all of it is like, okay, this isn't the Tower Record. This is not Compton. This is not, okay, I get it. I'm not from LA, but I know all the things this is not. Got it, guys.
Yeah. Let's just bring all the fighter jets and weird planes and park it in front of CJ's old house.
All right. Second game of honorable mentions, Time Crisis 2, which may be the best shooter arcade game that's ever been made.
Boom.
I mean, I love this game. I've got that first level. I think I could do it in my high school at this point. The amount of times just play that first level over and over again. I just learned there's a Time Crisis 5. I didn't realize it went that far. So some arcade somewhere has a Time Crisis 5, supposedly. But I mean,
some
Time
Dave
Crisis
and Buster's, yeah,
some Dave and Buster's, has it.
Yeah.
Time Crisis 2. Tell us about it.
Time Crisis 2, I owned for PlayStation. I had the gun.
Yes.
And it was some of the greatest times playing games in my house with that gun. I still don't know how the technology works, but the gun was incredible. Just the game was fantastic. I beat it almost every weekend. I would just play it. I would just sit there, just ducking behind the couch. It was just the feel of having the gun and just firing it at the screen, and the story was ridiculous as usual, but it was fun. It was, everything about that game was just engaging. And then I would go to like a Dave and Buster's and I would see it there and I'd be like, I'm going to bring my skills from home. And I was never good in Dave and Buster's. I was never good. But when I was behind that TV in my house, oh boy, I love that game. And then I sold it like a fool. I still wish I had it. I just wanted the big orange gun.
I don't even know how I got the gun because I didn't own the game. I must have rented it because I know I played it. That's where I beat it. I had to rent it or something, but I had it and somehow I had guns. And yeah, it felt great. Especially in your arcade.
Namco was just packing that gun in everything though. They had like 7 games that all came with that gun.
Mm-hmm.
But at the arcades, the gun, it would move
back the recoil.
It recoiled. So you felt it.
It would clack, 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 clack.
Yep, it made the noise. Yeah, that noise.
It was so good.
And then you get mad. You get mad when a red guy popped up, and you're like, "That was too quick. There's no way I didn't get down in time." Like you just want more quarters from me right now.
Yeah. Or you'd get the gun that didn't clack, and you were just like, "This is bull."
Like, what's the point of this now?
Why did you? It's broken. Just throw it away. The gun works, but that clack don't work. You fail. I was like, I'm not playing this garbage.
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't want it to clack, I'd stay at home. I have it at home, and it doesn't clack. I want to clack it in here. Get out of here.
Man, it was so good. I'm only gonna give a shout out because Time Crisis 2 is the best. I'm giving a shout out to Crisis Zone, the one random game that you held the SMG instead of the handgun. Because that one, first of all, that one clacked too, but it clacked quick.
I remember that one. Yeah, and you would shake with it.
Side shout out to Crisis Zone, the stepchild of the Time Crisis series. It just would show up once in a while, and you felt real good with that one.
And I'll give a shout out to the overcompensating game, the Jurassic Park game with the gigantic gun.
Oh yeah,
you can't even aim it, and it's just like unwieldy. Also clacked, but clacked so little that you can't actually shoot with it. You're just like, this is just a scam at this point. Like, I can't hit anything because you're moving it so much. Yeah.
Yeah, that Terminator. I don't know if you played the Terminator gun. They had the giant rifle. This one, it's like it's newer to me. RK giant rifle Terminator game. You couldn't make it past like 3 Terminators because they just take you out too quickly. That game is not.
Police 911 is the best arcade shooting game. I'm sorry, I will take no further questions from here.
That's
the one that has the infrared sensors around you that forget the
the one that you move around.
You gotta move yourself.
But the problem is the graphics in that one, because there's the motion, not as clean. Now it's cool. The bullets, you see the bullets flying at you, and you got a little matrix thing happening where you're somehow fast enough to move out of the way of these bullets. But that frame rate suffers when you start moving around.
Shout out to the arcade 1-up machines for Time Crisis though, because I was just playing it earlier at the game place we go to, and it's got the clackety clack on it. If you're not,
that's how you know.
So good.
You're in the right place.
Yeah. Let's jump back into the Final Fantasy world. You mentioned you went into all things Final Fantasy, and that included Final Fantasy Tactics, a different play style. You had to move about the field. You had a different kind of permadeath for characters in this one, and you assembled your army. So this was this on your journey post Final Fantasy VII?
It was. I don't know why. I don't remember why I played it, but I remember playing that game as much or maybe a little bit more than Final Fantasy VII, only because I was trying my best not to lose any of my guys and gals in the fight. And then at some point, I found out that you could get Cloud and Aerith in that game, and that changed everything. I was on a mission to get Cloud and Aerith, and then the fact that you get them really late in the game made Cloud almost pointless. So I took the step to level him up to level 99 with his sword. I got all his gear, and then he was still kind of garbage, but just the act of getting Cloud and not Aerith, you only got Cloud, but Aerith was in the game. But I went through the painstaking, just hardship of getting him up to level 99, and I don't think I actually used him at the final boss, but the whole package was just really fun, and the music is incredible. So if anyone likes just really good video game music, Final Fantasy Tactics had some of the best. It's so relaxing.
Pick any Final Fantasy game, you will get great music out of it.
But that I think that one resonates with me more than Final Fantasy VII music, because I had the screens up for so long while I was just reading how to beat a battle. So it would just play nonstop in my head, and I would just be like, how do I do this? And taking notes and stuff. So it's just like burned into the side of my head. Not because it's like, I'm going to listen to this because it's great. It's just me trying not to die in this game. Just like, oh man, how do I move this character? This music won't stop.
Another big Prima Guide game, Brady Guide, whichever one you had. It was another big one for the guidebook too.
Yeah, I had that guide too, and it was hefty. And I don't think it had the Cloud thing in it. I don't remember. I know I read it on GameFAQs. They were like, you can get Cloud as one of those.
Mr. Fancy Internet at the time. Good for you. Look at you.
Yeah, I had the internet. Had my my multiple AOL discs that stacked on top of each other to give me, enough time on the internet to read. And
that's right.
That was the way I found it. I went on GameFAQs and then had the forum post. You can get Cloud and Final Fantasy Tactics. I was like, shut up, you liars! And they weren't lying. It was before the internet.
The internet fool said Aerith lives too, but look how that worked out.
Yeah. Well, again, I still think there's a way to do it, because why are you giving me her gear after she died?
There's still a way.
I know there is.
The options yet.
I have the original
time to
game.
let it go.
No, it's not. I refuse. I bet in whatever remake. I haven't played the remake yet, so maybe there's a way to save her in that. Maybe. Yeah, it's a completely different game.
The remake is an entirely different game, and actually, just based on this conversation, you probably should play it, because I will say it's aware of you wanting to save her. The game. The game is
Yeah.
aware.
I played the first one, whatever the second one, whatever the
Rebirth
second
or Intergrade and all the,
Yeah, I played it. I played the first one, and then whatever Rebirth is, I just started it a couple days ago, and I'm in Nibelheim, and I'm seeing Cloud's mom, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a lot of hours. So I just stopped.
There's too much side activity in that game.
Yeah, I was like, I can't for the life of me give Cloud's mom right now, so I just turned it off.
So I have to say, Final Fantasy Tactics, I cornered myself into a game over, like to an unsavable, untenable, unrecoverable place in that game of just like massacres, all my characters dying, nothing I could do to get past the next battle. I had that happen several times. Did the guide save you from that, or did you have? Were you able to avoid that? You were
the guide, of course, the guide saved me from that. It told me exactly who was going to be there and how powerful they were, and I was one of those kids who would grind. Like I would just go and do random battles until I was too powerful to be stopped. Like I wanted to be the final boss. Like I kept going back and forth and beating little guys. I found out a way to level up your characters without you really having to do anything. Little tip: if you're playing Final Fantasy Tactics, turn your person into a frog, turn another person into a frog, then set one person to heal you, and then set everyone else to run away. Kill everybody else on the board except the two frogs, and then just leave the game to play. The two frogs will hit for 1 point of damage, but you'll get exactly the same amount of XP as a regular hit of damage. So they'll keep healing you. You'll keep taking hits. You'll hit them for 1. By the end of the match, you'll be level 99, and you'll be the strongest thing in the world.
This man's taking tactics to a whole new level right here.
I'm out. I'm done.
It's a tactical game.
I did it. I bored it into my head. I still remember how to do it. That's how I got Cloud to level 99. I left him out all night. I tell you, I fell asleep with the game. That music just running in my head. Cloud was a frog fighting another frog for hours. And then just had a healer dropping heals on him. And I was just like, yeah, he has to be at least like level 50 by now. And it was like 90, 92. I was like, let's go. I was dedicated.
Oh man, that's so good.
I was dedicated.
All right, now we look to the future. One game that you are looking forward to, and that's Monster Hunter Wilds, which, as we're recording this, is finishing their first weekend, which means people should be soon coming out of the caves that I assume they've been playing in for the past 48 hours or so. So, have you started playing this, or are you just kind of looking on and waiting, and maybe one day you'll play a little bit?
I'm waiting. I've passed the point in my life where I can, feasibly just download a game without knowing if it's any good anymore. Like I don't have the time or the disposable income to do that. So I'm waiting. I'm waiting to hear how it's gonna play out, if folks that I know are gonna play. And I already have Monster Hunter Worlds. I think that's the one prior. And I kind of played that, not really. And I said, why don't I beat that game before I decide to play Wild? So I just recently downloaded that to see, do I really want to play Wilds? Let me play this other one and see if it stacks up. But I'm waiting. I've heard mixed.
Yeah, wait for that 3 month, 6 month patch. You'll be set then. It sounds like.
Yeah, I heard the performance wasn't great. I heard some people who like Monster Hunter, feel like it's been dumbed down a bit, and which is fine with me because I'm a dummy. So I'd love to get a dumbed down version of Monster Hunter. And honestly, the reason I was looking forward to it is because my wife liked playing. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Dauntless, which was just a Monster Hunter clone. She enjoyed that game, and I'm looking for a game to play with her. So I was like, oh, we can go hunt monsters together. This new game's coming out. She's like, oh, well, let me know how it is. So I'll let her know how it is. If it's terrible, maybe we'll just play Worlds, and that'll be the game. I don't know.
No, you can play Dauntless. You can play Dauntless for free on Steam. I'm looking at it right now. Become a Slayer.
I thought
and protect the Shattered Islands. Unless I'm looking at the wrong game.
No, I think you're right. But I just heard some news that I think it's shutting down.
That might be the reason why it currently has overwhelmingly negative reviews. That's what Steam is saying.
That might be it.
Seems that people are upset.
May 29th It will be shutting down the.
Oh well,
60s.
this is why everyone's very upset. Clearly,
Yeah.
announcing a shutdown only 2 months after. Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So no more Dauntless for. I mean, we played
No
a
more
couple.
Dauntless.
Dauntless is dead. It's not Dauntless anymore.
That's it.
Dauntful. Rather thing.
Done.
It's dead and gone. It made way for Monster Hunter Wilds.
I guess. I guess so. Along with dead with along with whichever studios decided to shut down this week.
Yeah, I don't understand. As many studios as you see shut down after a game comes out, I don't know how we still get games. I don't know where they're coming from, and I don't know.
Long couple years coming up ahead, I think.
Especially the big games. The indies, the indie developers they're going off.
Not for much longer for them either. That funding is all drying up. So
that's all right. That's okay, because there's these people that are just crazy and just want to make the game out of love and somehow do it, and we all get to benefit from it. Unfortunate that it's just love, but these crazy people that do it for love continue to exist all the time.
Yeah, they'll keep pumping out games. I know it, but there has to be some sort of stabilization in the industry soon. Because
yeah.
Well,
it's the Atari timeline.
Oh gosh.
Let's
talk about this.
NES. Yeah.
I mean, talk about this. You talked about you bought Final Fantasy VII for $60-something, and it's 2025, and I can buy a game for $60-something.
People are still pissed at the talk of $70. Yeah,
guys.
I bought NES games for $50-$60. I bought Chrono Trigger was a $70 or $80 game when I bought it in '95. Like where I spent more on that game then without inflation.
The math is not mathing out here.
Yeah, a lot of my old I used to import games on PlayStation, and that's when I would spend the most money. Like I would go to the game store and it'd be like a $79 price tag on a game from Japan, and I'd be like, that makes sense because it was imported. And now it's just like regular. When I saw Wilds was $70, I was like, so is that just now the standard price for games?
That's the standard.
And it was, I don't remember the first game that did it. It was recent, but they were like, just set the bar. They were like, someone has to do it, and then everyone else is going to follow suit. So now the games are just $70, and it's like, I mean, I get it, but also who has that all the time? Like nobody has that.
Yeah, I don't have it off. Tears of the Kingdom 70, Dan?
That was Nintendo's first foray.
That was Nintendo's first 70, right? I got it with the voucher.
They weren't the first game to hit it. There was somebody else did it, but that was Nintendo's first foray.
But I mean, it's the truth. Like the games are 70, and I'm thinking, well, there's a lot of games from like 5-6 years ago that I never got to. Maybe I'll go play that now.
I already own it. Yeah,
my 700 game backlog and all the stuff I keep adding on Steam, they'll be there for me.
Let me tell you, every year my backlog looks a little better, and I'm a little bit happier about it because like this is new game. I was like, that's great. I'll get it in 3 years.
Yeah, and especially now when a lot of games sort of just are other games. You know what I mean? It's like you get the game and you're like, this feels a lot like X, or this feels a lot like Y. You get God of War Ragnarok, and like this is just the last God of War. I mean, there's other people in it, but there's nothing really different about this game. You get Breath of the Wild or the other one after that one. You're like, it's the same game. It's like 3 levels deep, but it's the same game. Like I'm not buying a new experience. Like there's nothing.
And it is hard to grab a new experience. Like Mario Kart's out, and then they tried to put out the Sonic game. I mean, it's going to be really hard for me to play another racing game that's not Mario Kart of that style. It's like that. I already know it. Like you want me to take a chance on some other like property? Like I know Mario Kart's good. Like why am I going to take a chance on this new, very expensive one?
And this is why I still think the 360 era of games is one of the best eras of just creativity in gaming. Just the Xbox 360 was just ahead of its time and all the weird, wacky nonsense they were trying to do with the avatars and the camera and whatnot. But then you look at the games that would actually be put out with like Rock Band, like big plastic nonsense that you can play a video game with, and just the quality of games back then, it was just different. Now I feel like because of the investment of money that they put up, it's either has to be a AAA like billion-dollar game or it's nothing. So you end up getting real safe bets in the pipeline, and you're just like, well, I don't want to play another kind of GTA game. I'll wait for GTA. You're banking too much on us wanting game nonsense. It's like, just give us something weird. Like, I'd much rather play another. I'd much rather play the Tony Hawk game with that awful plastic skateboard than play any like skateboarding game again. Like, give me something weird.
This is Debbie Downer court. It's about to get so much worse when all these investors are saying like they only want to see Discord server counts and Steam wish lists and Kickstarter wish lists. That's how they're making decisions of where they're going to put money now. And it's oh boy. It's
the bubble will burst on that, and we'll get back to, folks trying to do something interesting. That's just the nature of creativity. Like, they'll figure out a way.
That's where those indies are really going to come in. That's
I think Split Fiction is going to kill.
Split Fiction looks really.
I think he's going to pull it off
this week.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be out by the time people hear this. But
It Takes Two was amazing. I think they're gonna hit again because everyone's trying to do it. There's a lot of these co-op.
There's 3 other games that are doing that this year alone.
I think Split Fiction is just gonna show off and be just better than everybody.
But even that convention is so unique when you look across the game space, right? Like, you have to play with someone, and it's a split screen. So already you've already cornered 2 markets. You're like, I can sit on the couch with another person, we can play this game, or I can do the split screen thing online with someone. That's a great
free, and it's free though. They're still doing Split Fiction. They're just like, here's your friend pass. Don't worry, your friend doesn't have to buy the game. It's theirs. Here you go.
Crossplay too.
It's such a great thing. It's such a great way to approach game because it's putting the user's needs ahead of like some sort of market thing, which I understand. It's a business and you have to make money. But when you make the game and you built that in, then it doesn't take away from any, funding. It's just a great way to make games. And
it's only $50. We talk about prices or not. I'm pretty sure Split Fiction is $50.
And the bonus copy for a friend for free.
So you basically say, hey, by the way, you guys want to play a game? You could buy it for $25 each.
Yeah.
And play it. We'll give you a huge game too.
And the guy running the studio, he gets a funny rap for just being kind of wild and wacky and whatnot.
Yeah.
But
he's
running it. He's running it great. Like he has his users in his mind when he's making stuff.
Yes.
In between, rants and whatnot.
All right. Well, we've reached the point where we take a question from the Channel 3 history books we pick for you to discuss. And I'm going to keep it simple for you. What's your favorite fighting game?
Street Fighter Alpha 2.
Oh, that was quick.
Ooh.
Yeah. Street Fighter Alpha
2. The only hesitation you heard there is making sure he got the right version of the 75 versions of Street Fighter 2 in there.
Exactly. I knew it was an alpha, but it was an alpha 1. I was like, which one was the alpha that you had to unlock Guile in the Street Fighter Alpha 2? Yeah. It was definitely my favorite.
Right place, right time?
Yeah, but also that's when I got introduced to Akuma, which I think is one of the coolest dudes. That was the one where you could fight Akuma in the like grasslands with all the lightning bolts and stuff. I'd never seen that level before. It was a very specific level that you got when Ryu fought Akuma. You had to unlock Guile, which I for some reason thought was, well, it was stupid at the time, and it's still stupid, but when you unlocked him, it changed the intro to the game. So they just had like little bits of stuff that was really fun. And I think it was the last time I was any good at a fighting game. I'm just god awful. Like I said it earlier, I'm god awful at games. But it was the last time I was like okay at a game. I still got turned over all the time.
Street Fighter and I are not on speaking terms. My son, we play one of those arcade 1-up machines talking about, and he learned the art of button mashing in Street Fighter, and I took it too easy on him, and he's not been letting me hear the end of it. And I gotta
as well he should not. Wait a minute, I'm gonna change my answer. Bloody Roar.
Oh my god!
Way better fighting game.
Yes.
There you go.
People don't
Bloody
talk
Roar.
about that game enough.
Yeah, we go back to that specific era again.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that whole era of fighting games. There was a couple there that I was incredibly obsessed with. Bloody Roar was one, and then Rival Schools was number 2. Those games I played by myself all the time. They were incredible. Bloody Roar was way better because I'm a dork about like crazy lion people and stuff. So being able to turn into a giant like animal man, the lizard guy, come on. That whole roster was just crazy. And the fact that they've never done it again is a crime.
I had to look because I was like, when's the last one? Last one was 2003 with Bloody Roar 4.
That's the one.
Konami.
There was games before Bloody Roar. They were like games like precursors to Bloody Roar, and then Bloody Roar is the thing, and then like that's it. It just stopped.
We have hope. We have hope because
don't say that to me, Dan. Don't do that.
Well, no, because here's the thing. So Hudson Soft had it right, and they went under, but Konami absorbed them, so they have the rights. And Konami remembered they make video games again. So maybe
I was just about to say, do they know?
they know it. They do know again between like the Silent Hills. Like they're at least licensing these things out to companies that know how to develop games. Maybe there's an intern somewhere who's going through the filing cabinet and dusts off what's Bloody Roar, and maybe they're gonna take it to somebody and be like, "Yo, what's this?"
And blow their friggin' mind.
And like it even had like a weird, a storyline. You had to play the different characters to get like these little cutscenes. And they're meaningless and it's all silly, but it was there. You had to do it. And
the fighting was great. It was the 3D. It was the 3D fighting. So it was again ahead of its time. Like at that point, I think Street Fighter had EX, which was the weird polygonal 3D Street Fighter game.
The dark times of Street Fighter. Yes,
such a god awful game. But Bloody Roar did it right, and it was such a great experience. Yeah, Bloody Roar and Bloody Roar 2 are my favorite fighting games probably of all time.
Random Konami intern listening to this, go find the filing cabinet where they've got that Hudson file and get somebody on this.
And there was a couple games like that tried to do the 3D, like Soul Calibur. When that was they were doing the 3
Virtual Fighter. Oh yeah,
whichever the Mortal Kombat game where you had weapons like you out Sub-Zero's giant. I don't know.
Oh, you're just referencing the bad ones now? Is that what you're doing?
That one had 3D too. I'm thinking of the ones that you moved around. Bloody Roar
and Toshinden was good at least.
Bloody Roar was smooth the way you kind of spun around, and you got to be a robot mole by that shot.
Yeah, mole guy. Oh, that dude was amazing. Oh my god, I loved it. And the transformations looked so good, and they were so like the moveset would change too, and it would like change your physicality. So you go from a little dude to like a big tiger man. Yo, that game is so. If anyone listening, if you have not seen Bloody Roar, go see what you're missing in this. Could you imagine what that would look like in today's hardware?
That's the thing. It would look so good now.
It would look so good. You forget Tekken. I don't know why everyone's so fixated on Tekken or any of the Street Fighters now. If Bloody Roar was in the mix, that's a contender for Evo. Like send that to Evo. I want to.
They let you mash in that game too. That was a nice thing. You had some characters you could push a button and they kick 4 times in a row for you.
Tekken 8 did not have to catch a stray here. That game is beautiful, and
I didn't say it wasn't. I'm just saying it's.
They didn't even catch a stray in here. They did nothing. They did nothing to you. It's my personal hang up of like Mortal Kombat. Even still, people are like Mortal Kombat 1 or Street Fighter 6, and I'm like Tekken 8. Tekken 8's the better one.
Tekken 8's fine. It's not a Bloody Roar though.
Tekken 8's getting they get the esport love though. Yeah. The esport community understands, look where the fighting is happening.
Tekken 8 won. Like it's not catching a stray. It's still here. Bloody Roar died a long time ago. I'm not. You're fighting a battle for someone who already lost. Like I already lost. Like Bloody Roar is gone. Tekken 8 is here. I'm just saying, if Bloody Roar was still around, Tekken 8 would lose because it would be better. I
just want to be
lion person.
I just want to be a phoenix on 2 feet again.
Yeah, friggin' mole man made out of with metal claws. Are you kidding?
Furry culture's dying for this, guys.
I feel like as like the more I look back on gaming, I'm just like, there were so many gems that just fell away. And I, like the company's just like, whatever. It was, it was a one-time hit. And the fans are like, dude, just give us the friggin', like, bring it back. Konami, remember you made games. Remember those good old days when you guys were a video game company instead of whatever the hell it is you do now? It's for money. Like pachinko machines? Or
yeah, they but again, like they forgot. Someone told me don't just do pachinko machines anymore. They found out they make video games again, and we're getting all the Silent Hill stuff. Like, give us Bloody Roar, guys. Maybe they don't realize they have it. It's in a filing cabinet. There's a Hudson Soft filing cabinet in there somewhere.
It's right next to the Ark of the Covenant, guys. Just go down the hallway.
Top men are on it. Top men.
Get your top men out there and get Bloody Roar back in the mix. Who made Rival Schools? Get that back in the mix too, because anytime you can play as a kid and whack somebody in the face with a baseball bat, I'm in.
Was that a Capcom? But now, oh god, now I gotta find out.
You know what? Now, as long as we're complaining, I want Beautiful Joe 3 as well.
Yes!
Put the one out there.
Oh boy, here he's on his soapbox again. Oh boy,
it's telling me. Let me tell you,
Beautiful Joe is one of the best dead franchises.
I'm telling you,
around, and I want a different format for Beautiful Joe too. I want him to do something new with it. But if they gave me a remix or something, I would take that too.
I was right. Rival Schools is Capcom. I wasn't nuts.
So is Beautiful Joe. Just put it out there.
Yeah, come on, Capcom.
Technically, along with Clover Studio, but Capcom was there.
That's right. It was Clover,
and
they absorbed them. Yeah. Get Beautiful Joe out there. Get Mega Man Legends. Get what else?
Man called out. I don't know if I can back you on that one. Okay.
You can't back me on Mega Man. The only Mega Man that you don't actually get to be Mega Man, where you have zero Mega Manning. Come on, it was incredible. It was great.
For all the haters, I really enjoyed Mega Man X7. I like the 3D. I like the 3D game there. That was a good one.
Come on, Capcom. Come on, Konami. What is happening, you guys? Get your heads out of your turkuses and let's get some games going. Why have we not had a Castlevania game, like a legit Belmont driven Castlevania game? Decades. It's a crime. It's a crime, Konami. It's ridiculous.
There's a lot of those older series. So you're like, couldn't they make a new game, like an actual modern game? Wouldn't it be really cool? Like if I could throw grenades of holy fire. Wouldn't that would someone not find that fun to do?
I can't make it rain holy water on unsuspecting Draculas.
Can we do a Kid Icarus game? You tell me you can't, you flying angel, you shoot arrows at things, you can't figure out something to do with that kind of game?
Or a Kid Chameleon game where I could just be whatever I want. Get a helmet, become a spaceman.
There's options.
There's
a lot of options out there. Listen, if every movie can just be a remake of an old movie, can I just get remakes of old games? Can we? Let's just. Right?
What are we doing, guys? Like all these guys who are old now, who have money and are investors.
That's what I'm
saying. Are you telling me you don't remember the joy of these games? You don't remember how ridiculous it was that Richter Belmont was fighting Dracula in his own castle, and he's like, "What is a man?" Throws his glasses. That was iconic. You don't want to make that again?
I'm trying to force my son to play that one. They don't even make that one again. It's on. I got it on everything. Keep it coming.
Everything. You can play Symphony of the Night on a fridge, and it'll be incredible.
And it's still the best one.
It's incredible. And you get to and try and play that game as Richter. It's impossible. He doesn't do all the stuff that friggin' Alucard does. You just get trapped everywhere, and it's still fun. People forced themselves to finish that game. It was not fun to play as Richter, but you did it anyway. Inverted Castle. Look, I can do this all day.
There you go. Oh, man. All right, last question we ask everybody. What's been your favorite feature on Channel 3 so far?
The community. Everyone's really nice. I've been there since it started, but I've been on and off, and I decided recently to kind of jump back on and just get back into more communities, and everyone's really nice. They like my stuff, and that's always fun.
You jumped
And
on the Jedi tagline. There's a whole lot of kindness came out on the here I'm here for you tagline
I
that
did.
just showed up.
I have to jump on that too. But yeah, it's the community. Honestly, yeah, it's very hard to find nice people on the internet because the internet's not real. Come on, guys,
That's
it's not a
true.
real place.
That's true.
So when you actually
Don't get me
find real
started.
people, yeah, when you actually find real people and they're being genuine, they're usually nice, and that's always nice to find. So it's one of the few places on the internet that's real at the moment. So that's cool.
Dan's in front of a different background every week, so I'm still not really convinced that he's real. Usually he's got like Isabella's office or something, and now today he's got it's Pikmin. I legitimately thought it was just a random forest behind you. I just now noticed the blue Pikmin behind your head. So
Ray's just waiting
sure
until
Dan's real.
June when we might actually meet for the first time in person after 5 or 6 years.
And
Hey, that'd be awesome.
everyone's gonna realize that they have to look down to see me.
It's all those meetings are always fun when you're just like,
You-
oh, I didn't think you were that short or / that tall.
Carl, you have to find a picture. There's the Mad Bomb Shoe on there, and Ray are both from Jersey, and they both put the same picture up of them meeting. And Bomb Shoe's picture has basically like you see the top of Ray's head and all of Bomb Shoe, and Ray's version of it you can't see above Bomb Shoe's shoulders. They have the same picture from two different perspectives.
He's legitimately tall.
Yeah, you'd be
He's
surprised how
actually
short
tall.
you feel when like you meet a really short person. You're like, I'm not that short. They're just really that tall.
No,
They're like, sure, okay, all right.
I'm definitely that short.
I'm right in the middle. I'm right in the middle.
Oh man! And with that, we've made it to the end of another What Are Your Three podcast.
Woo.
Thank you, Carl, for being with us. This was a good one. You can find the podcast at c3.gg/podcast, dropping every Wednesday morning at 3:33 a.m. Eastern on all the major platforms, including Spotify, YouTube Music, and Apple Podcasts. I'm Ray. Dan puts this all together. Our theme song is by Caster Garden. And for our executive producer, Joel Willis, have a good day, everybody.
Bye.
Now, is that hot dog place actually a good hot dog place, Dan?
It is the best hot dog place on earth.
Okay.
Again,
See,
ask Nasco. He'll tell you.
Because when I moved down to South Carolina, there was some place that was like, oh, there's hot dogs. And my wife and I were like, oh, this is great. Like, haven't had a hot dog in a bit. And I had a bite and walked right out. This is like, this is insulting. How dare you have a sign up saying this is the best hot dog? And there's people here that agree with you. There's something really wrong going on.
They don't know. They don't know any better when you get outside of like the New York, Philly corridor.
No, there's so many things that they don't know.
No, and like
about that stuff.
Like it sucks for me because I live next to a German town. Like I grew up in Pennsylvania Dutch all over the place from Philly in the greater area, but like the next town up from me is like German, and that means all the food sucks. And I was like, oh, we gotta go check out this new breakfast place, and I look at it, I'm like, God, everything somehow they made bacon have no flavor in this cafe, in this place, like in this German breakfast place. I'm like, this is terrible.
People. I've still got people that recommend pizza places to me down here.
Why would
and they know that I'm like a total snob about it. And
all you have to do is talk, and they'll be like, "Oh, I probably shouldn't recommend pizza to this guy. I hear the way he talks. I should not."
This one's really great. Tell you, this is the one for sure this time. I was like,
my brother-in-law's like that. He has no taste buds whatsoever. Like the man can't.
Is he
he's
British?
Not allowed to recommend. No, he's from North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
And he'll say stuff like, "Oh man, you got to try this Spanish restaurant down the road." And my wife and I will drive over there, and she's Spanish, so she's like, "This is the worst stuff we've ever tasted. They didn't put salt, they didn't put anything in it. There's nothing."
Carolina, if they think vinegar is a flavor, so like that's,
we had one of those. We had a Hispanic place. Really, I mean, people were telling us this is amazing stuff, and my wife cares a lot more about it than I do. And we went, and I was like, it might be the worst restaurant I've ever been to in my life. Like, this thing.
I don't trust people telling me that stuff. Yeah.
Little Puerto Rican place opened up though. It's actually good. We went to, I was like, oh my God, I walked in and I knew. I felt it. I felt my ancestors like singing to me as I walked through the door.
They gotta be real careful. Did you go in with a flag over your shoulders too? That's like,
I walked in and I knew. Like I didn't have to see the food, and I knew I was in the right place. So we got a little place that opened up.
You just walk in the door. Okay, I feel better now. You
could feel it. It kind of rains over you.
Felt homey.
And my wife approved, so she knew it was good.
Well, Carl, thank you again for joining us, and thank you again for your patience. So,
of course, I'm happy.
Yeah, you got the rundown on kind of how things go. We'll go through some introduction pieces, and then kind of what I warn everybody. You know, I mean, I know you've recorded a number of things. You do mostly solo, though. It sounded like so. It's you don't have to worry about the interjecting part that I'm about to get into. Then.
I mean, with a voice like that, I think you should probably just. We're
just gonna step aside. You're just gonna let you monologue.
I think you should give them a script with questions on it and just have them rattle off answers to it.
I can do that.
The less that we speak on this one, I think it's gonna be better.
Yeah,
for everyone's ears.
They got in my head. I was already worried about my.
I'm only here to talk to other people. You know how solitary it is to just talk to yourself in the mornings, just like 7 o'clock in the morning talking to myself. I feel like I'm going insane.
I know I am.
Let me ask myself a question about wrestling. How do you feel about wrestling, Carl? Oh, I feel great about it. How do you feel? Then I got to go to work.
Again,
Carl, how do you feel about last night's wrestling event?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was sports entertained.
I have to agree too. I didn't see the big. I didn't realize that big turn was going to happen.
Yeah, everything up to it, leading up the past couple of weeks, I was like, "What the bloody fuck is happening?" And then the actual thing happened, and I was like, "Oh, okay, fine.
Let's do it, right? Let's go.
Yeah,
let's go.
I'm on the ride. Let's go to WrestleMania. I'm. Let's have some fun.
We have the two giant old guy heels together. Like there is something interesting about that.
Yeah,
after
it's
fighting
weird.
for decades.
Yeah, it's weird, and they're really playing up the nostalgia of Vince doing it to Stone Cold and Vince doing it to The Rock, and now The Rock is in the position that he can do it to somebody else. I do find it a little funny that it's with John Cena, who is also an old person. So it's like
him holding on to his hair is really what makes it. Like he refuses to shave it off. That's the problem.
You know what? I almost respect him for it, because at some point you got to look at yourself and go, why am I doing this? Like, no, this is just the top of my head and I can't do anything about it. So
do you know how much he spent on that? Like that's
on the top of his head?
Yeah.
He didn't spend anything on it.
Not enough.
He needs to go back to whoever he bought it from. Yeah, it's rough. It's flapping. It's it's coming up. But yeah, I had fun. I spent most of the time like on my phone, and then when the thing happened, I went, "Oh, okay." I like where this is headed. Tell me more. I appreciate it. But yeah, I watch wrestling as like therapy. It calms my nerves. It takes my mind away from like work and everything. The same way like gaming and stuff.
It's just a great show.
Yeah, it's very passive for me. Like I don't have to do a thing. Like I can, you invest in this sort of what are they, the soap opera? You invest in this like
exactly
combat soap opera, and you just kind of internalize it, and you just have some fun with people. Like I don't have a favorite wrestler or anything like that, but it's just like every time
just there for the vibes.
I'm there for the vibes.
I always tell everybody, like, we don't want anybody to have to prep. We're just talking video games. That was the whole kind of idea of this. Like, we're just gonna talk video games. Let people get to know each other. So
I used to do a video game podcast in 2016. It's called like the BLH broadcast. It was me and a bunch of buddies, and it was some of the most fun times I've had. Just yapping about Dark Souls and friggin' Skyrim every other day.
It's pain and suffering. Yes,
you can still talk about Skyrim today.
That was Skyrim when it was new. It was only 5 years old at that point. That's
yeah. It was for years. We did that podcast for maybe 2.5 years, and I think every other week I brought up Skyrim because it was just the thing that you play. You never finish it. It just seems to keep going. You're like, oh, I went to this other spot and I dug into the ground and there was some cave that I've never been to. And you're just like, stop playing that stupid game. Play something else. I'm like, you shut your mouth.
They've made it they made it look good. Like the thing, like they put out 10th anniversary editions. Like, oh no, they make it look a little better. I gotta take a run at it again.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how many versions of Skyrim I just own because they just put the out, and you're just like, well, of course I'm gonna spend the money to I'll play it again. And you never play it again. You just have it.
The simultaneous high and low point for Skyrim was when they put it on your Alexa, and you're like, like that was obnoxious. They're trying to make it like Doom, where they try to make it run on everything. Like it can run on your phone, and it can run on a plane. And does your microwave have a screen? We'll put Skyrim on that. You can. Skyrim got me through moving. Like I was on my own for like 10 weeks living in a hotel, and like my PlayStation 3 died in the course of that travel. And I had to get a replacement PS3, which also gave me, and it ate my copy of Skyrim when it died. So I also got to buy I found a cheap copy of like the Ultra Enhanced Edition. So I got my Alduin statue over there still. I'm like, no, that thing's made it with me. So Skyrim holds a special place for me. I'm with you.
I would say that thing was a companion.
Yes, it was. I think you broke a record.
Play Bloody Roar.
Play Bloody Roar.
Oh yes, play Bloody Roar, man. If there's any message from this episode, is I hope people play Bloody Roar.
Somebody, I gotta look. I got press contacts at Konami now. I gotta go kick somebody there and see what's going on with this. We could start an internet movement.
Oh, please do. It's going to be a short one because I don't know how many people remember that game. I might be surprised.
Enough.
Hopefully,
people remember. I'm sorry, guy. I didn't know. I thought I was the only person to play the game.
No, I mean, I bought it. It was one of those games where I bought it because of the cover and then loved it.
It's a great cover.
It was such an incredible game. Bought the first and second one, and then it just didn't keep going. It didn't. I guess because they didn't have the same competitive nature as the other ones, because it was really button mashy.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can get away with a lot.
Yeah,
and it didn't have a lot of nuance, but they could have built that in.
But it's such a cool title and logo, and like just you can make it work, and there's going to be instant engagement recognition. It can be done.
By the way,
also, it just like when you transform, they would legit roar, and it was like this very like primal thing. It was roar, and it turned into this big hulking monster. You're like, that was awesome.
Some roared, some had different transformations, whether it was like the hyper mode or the actual transformation. Like there was levels to this stuff.
Yeah, if we can get it back, that's one of those games where I wish I had like an emulation for it, or I might have to go to my mother's house and go pick up my PlayStation and bring it home, because that game was it.
On the chat of Discords, one of the Discords that I know for fact has been doing weird stuff is the Dragon Ball Sparking Zero official Discord, because the game died off. Like people stopped playing it. I still love it. I turn it on every once in a while because I love Dragon Ball. So I'm like, this is everything I want. It's fun. Their Discord does like, hey guys, we're gonna do watch parties of like old Dragon Ball shows, and let's keep the party going and whatnot. I was like, you guys are just supposed to be like the information place. What are we doing here?
Those Dragon Ball games, they are too
manic.
They're too nickel and diming. They take too many little elements out. They're like, and then if you want this, like Piccolo skin, it'll cost you $5. It's like, oh, do you want access to this character who's always in every game? $9. It's just like what?
And I bought the whole thing.
Then there's Smash Brothers, where
I needed it.
97 characters, and you paid for it when you're done.
Yeah, hey, but you basically had to pay for the game twice.
Yeah, fine.
Do all the DLCs.
And if I never got those other characters, it still would have been a whole great game. It still would have been 72 characters.
But it wouldn't have been all of them.
It's true.
Someone just like brought that up to me the other day. It's like, you paid $120 for that one. And I was like, oh man, I did. That's okay.
I don't care.
As long as
I'm all right. I'm okay with that.
As long as you enjoy it.
That game was that game is great. It's the best.
Tenkaichi Budokai 2 is the Dragon Ball game that I really, really enjoyed.
I had that on the Wii with the motion controls. It was amazing.
That was the last one I was like, this is it. This is the one I'm gonna have fun with. I bought Kakarot and I was like, this game is some hot doo-doo.
That game
This is some
There's a lot. Listen, there's a lot of bad Dragon Ball in between the good ones. Just so many bad ones.
Because they also just keep redoing the same story. Like I get it.
They do.
We'll fight Cell and we'll get Gohan to beat Cell. Like we've done it a million times. And they're like, but do you want to do it again? And you're like, fine.
I keep saying yes. I keep saying yes to doing it again.
Like, yeah, I guess I'll fight Boo again. Fine. And then you play it and you're like, this is still great. This is still a good time. But after a while, I was just like, look, guys, I'm done. Like, it's been decades. I know who wins. It's always Goku. Move on. I don't want to do this anymore. If they were to change it up a little bit, maybe I'll dive back in.
Channel 3 is the future.